Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast powered by Cineman. I'm Ewan Graf, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan Thiele.
On episode 148, it's an interesting episode because nothing noteworthy came out here in Australia that also lines up with the release date everywhere else. So Ewan got to go see some cool stuff. I have not. So on this week's discussion time, I'm going to have a rant.
I'm looking forward to that. By the way, we are on 149 before someone corrects us in the comments. But we are.
Oh, we're on 149? Oh,
we
dude.
No, you don't need to.
Let me restart the whole
no,
thing.
No,
Let me restart the whole thing.
We are so close to 150 though. It's another big one coming up.
I'm embarrassed. I'm literally embarrassed.
I watched some stuff. I watched that Steven Soderbergh limited series called Full Circle. I also caught the Lost Voyage of Demeter, also known as Dracula on a Boat. And I did dive into some anime and watch the first season of Vinland Saga. So I got some thoughts on that.
Fast 10, bitch.
Fast X. I'm sorry, Lachlan.
Fast
Can
X.
you repeat it?
Fast X.
Sorry. You can
Man,
get
I'm going to repeat all my
number.
lines today, man. I'm terrible with numbers today, aren't I?
Exactly.
Fast X.
Fast
Bitch.
X.
There you go.
Like Saw X, which is also another movie that we're looking forward to.
I messed up all my lines in this intro. This is embarrassing.
So let's just cue it up and get into the show.
We are professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there.
Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right, welcome back, Lachlan. We are doing a bit of a retrospective thing here, kind of towards the end of the summer now. Maybe we can talk about some of our summer movie highlights of what we've seen, although it's pretty, like, obviously probably going to be like Oppenheimer or Barbie. We can still talk about it. But towards the beginning of the summer, we were still in Gun. It's crazy that it's been like a couple of months since then already. And that was kind of right around the time when Fast X came out. So we were busy watching like 30, 40 films in Gun. So we never got to cover this prestigious film on the podcast. So we are kind of catching up on that later on today's show now that it's on streaming. But it's just been a bit of a slow summer, obviously, because of the strikes, but even just because Barbie and Oppenheimer are taking up so much space at the box office that in cinemas, that there's really a lot of like space that has been left and nothing that actually is like taking up space for us to talk about. But that's pretty much it. Like, we got a trailer for Maestro, the Bradley Cooper directed and lead starring in movie. It got a bit of a controversy because of the makeup thing that he had with the big nose, and family of the Maestro who's depicted in it came forward and said like, we're all good with it. I don't know why you guys are outraged. This is actually fine. He's been really great. And some people are really, I don't know, did you have a chance to catch the trailer for Maestro?
I'm like watching it right now, and that's a big snooze, not gonna lie. You aren't.
Yeah.
It's a big snooze.
It is a big snooze. But to me, like, this movie could be okay-ish, but it could also be this year's Blonde, where it like tries so hard to do something and doesn't really stick the landing in what it's going for. It does seem more conventional and less like out there compared to Blonde, just from the trailers alone. But maybe it's just like the black and white aesthetic that's getting me there. But it feels like very much actor, director movie where there's a bunch of showcases for acting, and you can kind of see that come through in the best ways. If it adds to the character and the story, that's great, but sometimes it's kind of meanders and loses itself. I'm still really keen for this film, and I will be catching it in about like 2 weeks time in Venice. So we'll have some thoughts on it on the channel soon.
It's gonna be the talking movie. That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, it does seem like there's gonna be a lot of talking. I don't know if there's any other talking movies. All the rest are like silent films in Venice. There's one called Aggro Drift. That just looks incredibly crazy. I'm looking forward to that one. Lots of great stuff from Venice. But that's coming up in 2 or 3 weeks time. Lachlan, there's no real news. Again, the strikes are still going on. It seems like the WGA and the studios are meeting more frequently. Still nothing with the actors though. So hopefully some kind of deal gets gets resolved in some kind of way, and then hopefully the actors follow suit, and it will work out that way. But we don't know. We don't know. So the news is kind of slow at the moment. So that's why we'll be discussing a couple of things in discussion time. Lachlan, you want to kick it off with your rant that you want to go on?
I don't know if it's a rant or if it's just. Why do we get movies so late here in Australia? You know? At least a whole month or two late. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah,
Really annoying.
it
That's my
is.
rant. There we go.
It's a really short rant. Yeah, it was like the discussion type question would be why is that the case? And I don't really know why they decided to move stuff like what's the most notable one that they did recently. We wanted to do Blue Beetle this week, but then turned out, well, it's not releasing until September. Same with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We wanted to cover that, and it also got pushed. I think you guys don't even have past lives yet, which we'll be talking about next week because it comes out on VOD, so we get to cover it. But otherwise, that like it's really stacked in September and October for you guys. But the summer is just like, or I guess the winter for you is just like really slow, and there's not a lot of big movies that are coming out.
Yeah. There's a number of, I guess, reasons why movies get delayed. I guess the summer. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but does Americans get holidays over the summer, like a summer break or some shit like that?
I think they have the crazy long, like if you're in school, you get like the crazy long holiday, like 3 month long period or something like that.
Which would
But they
make
don't really have
sense
breaks, right?
why. And I guess this is why movies release over the summer, because that's when you
Yeah,
get most butts into cinemas. Uh, Australian holidays are a little bit different. We don't have like a really long one except over Christmas, so end of year, and there's kind of like 2 week gaps for schools throughout the year in
yeah,
between the four terms. But uh, I guess maybe that's one reason is our holidays are a little bit different to the American holidays, but you can still get films,
mm,
to come out at the same time for everybody else, and it's probably going to get the same butts into seats. But
yeah,
something like Asteroid City has only just come out, and
yeah,
you could maybe not blame them for releasing like a month or so ago when Barbie and Oppenheimer came out, because there was less likely of a chance that anyone would have gone and seen that. They would have gone and seen Barbie and Oppenheimer. But exactly what you said, Barbie and Oppenheimer have been dominating the box office, and there has really been a big film that's come out since, and I think that's just
yeah,
because it's still dominating the box office. So maybe they knew ahead of time Asteroid City wouldn't have been a big hit at the big cinemas here over Barbie. But I would say Barbie over Oppenheimer would have been the bigger attraction to moviegoers, at least. But
yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit annoying how, for example, Blue Beetle isn't coming out until like early next month.
Which I do get. I think it was initially going because I usually plan ahead and check with the Swiss release dates and the Aussie release dates to see what we get to cover. And I think Blue Beetle was on that release schedule for this week. And it's probably just because Warner Brothers is Barbie and Blue Beetle, and they wanted to have a bit more space for that film. And they also just announced, I think, that the premium VOD window for Barbie is starting in like a couple of weeks, where it's gonna be available on digital. So it's interesting to see them like not really banking on the cinemas until it like completely frizzles out, but they want to continue the momentum and generate some money outside of the box office as well, or maybe even make space for a film like Blue Beetle, and then like later on, I guess what's the next big one would be Dune if they don't push it back. It's just a bit frustrating that like there's a bunch of differences there, because like for a long time, there wasn't really like a lot of like later releases in Australia. I didn't really have to work around that, and this summer has just been pretty bad with that. And like I'm used to it here in Switzerland sometimes, especially like the limited releases in the States, we do have to wait for the VOD window for the both of us, just because it's just like it's not in our markets that they're playing in, and sometimes they don't even release at all here in Switzerland. But yeah, I mean, try to get our hands on stuff, and I guess we are lucky because we get to talk about Vin Diesel this week in Fast X, which
Yeah.
bridges me over to the second question I have in this week's discussion time, and that is, do you think at this point in Hollywood is the IP more important than a star actor like The Rock or Vin Diesel for a franchise like Fast X, and maybe even opening up the question to other franchises?
I think the statement that I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Tarantino who said that Marvel films killed the movie star.
I think he did, yeah.
I think
I think it was him.
it's fairly accurate. I don't think we have big movie stars these days. I don't think I can think of a modern movie star like you might have had, like a young Johnny Depp as an example, or like
Yeah.
a who else could I think of that might have been a massive movie star, like a
I
Sylvester
think George,
Stallone, or like
yeah,
a
I think it's George Clooney still like at least here in Switzerland, like Ticket to Paradise. Him with who was it? Was it Sandra Bullock or was it the other one? The two like 45, 50, 55-year-old white woman that people go crazy for. Oh yeah, Julia Roberts. That's the other one. And I think they like still have a huge pull maybe on older audiences as well, to go see like those rom-com type ish movies, because there you don't have like I think that's also why rom-coms are like dying so much, and why comedies are dying, because you don't really go in to see an IP. You go to see like the actors do something well, have chemistry with each other, fall in love, and that sort of stuff, or have a bit of a goofs in a comedy. And those type of films are getting made less, and they are grossing way less. They do well on the streaming services, but not really based on any I guess stardom. And like it's weird because like again, Netflix doesn't give out its release things of like its watch time data, but didn't they like claim that Red Notice was one of like their biggest thing ever? I think with has The Rock, Gal Gadot, and Ryan Reynolds in it, which would be like three people who pull like that on that movie stardom. But yeah, overall, I think IP is currently reigning. But I don't know if it's succeeding anymore. I think it was for a while, and it was just like the Marvel MCU dynasty. I don't know if that's coming to a close, and what's next if this is gonna continue, because what I see kind of, maybe this is just like our bubble, but I think I can see a bit more of a focus on directors over actors, and I think that's kind of an interesting shift, which I like was definitely the case like in the 70s and 80s, right? But also you had the movie stars there as well.
I like your thought about directors. I think that's going to be an interesting place that we go, where we
Yeah,
start saying, hey, look, here's, as a great example, Bradley Cooper directing and starring, and here's X. I think there's going to be a lot of, I feel like actors going into directing roles will be quite an interesting genre, in
mhm,
loose quotations, of how we can define a film, is that they're actor turned director debut films, and then continuing on from that, those films
mhm,
will be quite interesting to draw people in, depending on who the star is. But again, I don't feel like there are movie stars that carry the same weight like they used to.
yeah,
We had this conversation: are video games going to be adapted more and become the next big thing in Hollywood? And I think that's going to be it. So I think the side really leans more to IP and seeing new
mhm,
areas of existing IP, because we only get the same story over and over again, right? We have Jurassic Park, we've
yeah,
had the main storyline. Now we've had Jurassic World, right? We've had
mhm,
Star Wars, we've had the prequels, we've had the sequels, but they're all the Skywalker franchise. We've had Rogue One, but that links in. We're having Ahsoka that comes out later next week.
yeah,
That links into the same storyline. But we're only gonna start getting into new Star Wars territory in the next like 4 to 5 years, when
yeah,
those films that are, Old Republic and, spin-offs of, like, I think Taika Waititi's Star Wars film, if it's still being made, was meant to be like brand new characters and everything. So, and that was
Yeah.
going to be the same with Zack Snyder's Star Wars pitch with Rebel Moon. I don't think we've spoken about Rebel Moon a whole lot, but
No.
I'm really fucking excited for that film. Funnily enough,
Yeah.
more than I think I should be, because it's Snyder and he hasn't done anything crazy good because he's been ripped apart by Warner Brothers for the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to see spin-off IPs. I'm excited to
Yep.
see where new stories in set universes can go, because I love Star Wars. And I'm
Mhm.
just finishing Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And I like that because it's places and stories that I haven't seen before. It's a character that I haven't seen before on screen. I've only seen it in video games. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see where they take existing IPs and take those worlds and spin it off from there.
I mean, it's also what James Gunn said is kind of the mission statement for the upcoming DC slate, that the comics, the games, the series, and the show and the movies are in some form tied to each other, which is interesting. I think like what makes DC unique is that they've had like a steady stream of these like animated films that are not really connected. They've had some pretty good like shows that recently have come up for the last couple of years. The Harley Quinn show that's currently airing a new season is like pretty good. They've had a new run of My Adventures with Superman that's like, I've been keeping up with that, and they are going like multiverse, Suicide Squad. Like they have a bunch of stuff within like the first 8 episodes, and it just throws you in there, and it doesn't really hold back with like establishing stuff. And I think it's like a really different approach to any of the other competitors that have just been kind of meandering, slowly building to nothing. And here they just give you it. They just like throw it in your face. Sometimes it's too much, but at least you get something. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that has been based on EP has just been kind of safe, and not really a lot of substance was actually there. It was relying solely on the I guess pre-existing iconic nature of the things that have come before. And I mean, you mentioned Rebel Moon. I think the creator could also be another like sci-fi thing that looks unique. And even though it is based on the books, and you do have a reference, I think Dune is another like really exciting IP, just because you do have someone behind it that you can like trust with his vision as well, with Denis Villeneuve. I think that's pretty much it for discussion time, Lachlan, unless you want to add on something to that. No?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So let's talk about what we've been watching this week. All right, Lachlan, what have you been up to?
Not a lot. As I said just previously, Jedi Survivor, finishing that because I've been meaning to play it and I finally got around to it. And that is fun. But I watched the Equalizer 1 and 2. What for? That is a conversation that will happen elsewhere. Don't know where, don't know when, but elsewhere. Ooh.
Yeah, you will hear about it in a couple of weeks, I think. But just like the Equalizer 3 is coming up, so there's your hint.
That's why I'm watching it. But that's it.
Exactly. I also watched it, weirdly enough, this week for this
coincidence?
day. I don't know. Yeah.
I think not.
Think not.
I like it. I like it.
Unfolds his tea bottle, sets the timer. Let's go. Disney sent me the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka, and I was a bit bummed that I couldn't share it with you, because otherwise we would have done maybe even a main thing instead of Fast X on Ahsoka, because there's already a ton to talk about here. I watched these first 2 episodes, and someone else who works in the film space here in Switzerland, who also saw it, was like, "Hey, did you see that? Did you see the Ahsoka thing?" And I said, "Yeah," and he was like, "Am I crazy, or is it actually like really good?" And I was like, "Yes, no, you're not alone. You're actually not crazy. This is really good, and I'm kind of keen to see where it continues to go on." I was a bit lost because there's a couple of characters that come over from the Clone Wars, and well, pretty much all of them, I guess, from Clone Wars and Rebels, and I haven't seen either of those shows. It made me want to binge the entirety of these 2 shows just to get an understanding. of the characters, and I think this is promising. In the first two episodes, it could lose itself pretty quickly. But I really like the fighting. There's a couple of fights early on in both episodes, and they're really sick. They look great, and yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what like the general audiences will think once they check it out, and especially what you think, having seen all of the Clone Wars, and I don't know if you've seen Rebels as well.
I haven't seen all of Rebels, but I'm slowly making my way through Star Wars animated content.
But for me, if like Venice wouldn't be coming up, I think I would be trying to binge the entirety of that series. But I recently checked. I think to watch all of Clone Wars, it's like 2 days and like 7 hours or something like that. And it's like, well, I don't know if I can make the time for that. That's a lot. But yeah, at some point I will. And if this doesn't end up being a one-off limited season thing and maybe continue, which I think is the plan for Ahsoka, then I might have some time later on. But yeah, can recommend, go check it out. It's the best Star Wars stuff since Andor, but I mean Andor has kind of raised the bar quite a bit when it comes to Star Wars stuff in recent years. Then I got the limited series from Steven Soderbergh called Full Circle. I think it's a pretty solid crime drama. I've heard a bunch of people really talk it up and praise it, and for me it didn't really deliver on that level, because it follows a bunch of different people that are kind of all affected by one, like a crime boss, and it has some weird imagery in like New York, in a park where they draw a circle, and that's like, it's literally like relating to a full circle, and I just thought like the whole thing was gonna come full circle and it's a bunch of reveals, but no, it's a literal full circle. So it was a bit odd at times, but I was enticed. If you like Steven Soderbergh and his take on thrillers, then I think you'll probably have a good time. Then Dracula was on a boat in the Lost Voyage of Demeter. I think it's fine. It's interesting to have like this kind of monster flick all set on a boat and not really like, the whole thing on that. It's a very limited space where you can tell your story, and it's basically just like Dracula needs to feed on this voyage, and kind of yeah, it's pretty gruesome. I was surprised how gory it gets at times and how much blood it shows and stuff like that, but it left me a bit cold when it comes to just like the story and the characters. It was just kind of okay-ish. But if you like horror, then maybe give it a try. Otherwise, definitely wait until this is on VOD. I think it's not really worth the trip to the theater. And then finally, it's on Netflix, so that's really easy to binge. I Lachlan, I know you watched some anime when you were younger, right? I don't know how often you get to watch like
I'm
new stuff.
picky.
You're
I'm picky.
which is, I think, the right thing to be with anime, because there's so much slop and shit out there. Where it's just like, there's a couple of horny characters, there's a bunch of like really generic dialogue that they do back and forth, and a lot of like freeze frames, and then they narrate over the whole thing, and like, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but there's some solid animes that I've seen. I haven't seen a ton, but I think season 1 of Vinland Saga might be my new favorite anime. It's that good. It's sick. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch any of the series. Have you seen any of the episodes of it?
I haven't, but I have been recommended it in the past.
Yeah.
Twice, I think, actually. I've been recommended it fairly recently, not including yours, and another mate.
Well, thrice now, because I recommend it to you as well. I started the season 2 as well, which has wrapped now, and I will be probably binging that until next week. But yeah, it's just like it packs an interesting punch for a series that is so much about death and about warriors and about honor, and it kind of breaks that down as to why are they doing that in a way, and it gets really existential. It gets really sad. I think the second season hits even harder with that sort of stuff, and it's just like it looks beautiful. It is incredibly brutal, but you don't want it to be. But then also, it's like you're always on the verge of like, oh yeah, this is a sick fight scene, but also stop fighting, guys. And it plays like that action with a phenomenal story. So yeah, which I haven't seen anything that's more consistent than Vinland Saga yet in anime. So yeah, it's up there for me as one of the best. But that's all I've been watching. Lachlan, we can talk about the fast cars in Fast X. Right. We are really excited to talk about this film. It's such a pity that we missed it. Because there's so much to break down. It is the 10th film in. Is it? No, it's not the 10th film in the saga. Because there's the 10th film would be like the crossover with The Rock and Jason Statham. I blanked on
Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw, exactly. That's what it was called. I don't. Do you know? Are there any other crossovers or like spin-offs planned apart from that? I guess. Well, the like maybe standalone Hobbs film. That they're gonna do. Do you think there's more coming?
Yes, there's more.
Yeah.
There's more. They're never gonna stop. This is an
Fair.
unstoppable franchise. It needs to stop, but it won't.
It probably won't. It comes from Louis Leterrier, who's known for his take on the Hulk. The other one is Ang Lee. That's the one with the crazy boxes. This is the Edward Norton one. That's I guess just like a bit more boring. But he's also the director of Now You See Me, the really over the top and unbelievable magicians that do crazy shit with magic. And yeah, this is the billion-dollar juggernaut franchise with its 11th film in there, and it's yeah. Lachlan, you want to read the log line for the film because it's
Yeah, of
certainly
course, I
a
can
great
totally
one.
do that.
Yeah.
Over many missions against impossible odds, Dom
Mhm.
Toretto and his family have outsmarted, outnerved, and outdriven every foe in their path. Now they confront the most lethal opponent they've ever faced, a terrifying threat emerging from the shadows of the past who's fueled by blood revenge, and who is determined to shatter this family and destroy everything and everyone that Dom loves forever.
Do you think including everything is that just like his entire car collection, or
Everything,
what else? Corona,
everywhere,
just a brand
all
all at once.
at once.
He does kind of do it all at once if you think about it. It's
He
just like
does.
comes
He
crashing
does.
down.
He goes hard. He goes hard.
He goes super hard. I think we can safely say that Jason Momoa is the best thing about this film, like bar none, easy. At
He's
least
the
to
best
me.
thing.
Oh yeah. It is kind of lengthy when it comes to like an action film, but probably pretty average when it comes to the Fast and Furious films with 142 minutes. It hasn't been received super well. 2.6
No.
on Letterboxd, a 5.8 on IMDb, and a 56 on Metacritic. It had a budget. Luckily, it had a budget of $340 million. It's one of the most
Whoo!
expensive movies of all time, man.
My
And it
God.
has only grossed 318 million worldwide to the state, but considering it's out of the theatrical market for a bit, this movie definitely wasn't successful and a profit turner, at least the theatrical window. I'm sure they'll make their money back with all of the rest of the sales that they're gonna make after the fact, but in the theatrical window, I think you need like, you need to gross like 1.5 billion to actually consider it an actual
Yeah.
success.
Especially
But yeah.
from the money they've made in the past of this series. This is a flop. Should we call it a flop?
I wouldn't call it a flop because it's still 718 million. It's so much money. But it's like it underdelivered in what the expectations were set with the budget. I think that's
Sure.
just like its biggest issue. It's got such
Yep.
a bloated budget, which is kind of the that's kind of the theme of the summer. You had maybe the legacy things of all of the COVID repercussions that you had that kind of increased the budgets, like Mission Impossible had, or maybe even Dial of Destiny. And both of those films I would consider flops when it comes to monetary things here. Mission Impossible mainly because its release wasn't great, having only a week before Barbenheimer, just was kind of dumb. Like I think releasing it right now or maybe a week or two from now would have been perfect for this film. But it kind of fucked it on that
Can't shit
front.
on Mission Impossible, man, because Tom Cruise tried to get Oppenheimer to move.
They were never gonna move. It's just like they should have moved. They should have moved.
Tom Cruise saw it coming.
Yeah. It's a pity. It's a pity. Paramount, is it Paramount? I think it's Paramount, right? But yeah, cast go burr in Fast X. There's I think I want to talk about the villain first because it opens with the villain as well. It's a
And links to a movie that I didn't realize they were linking to.
I think wasn't the fifth one called Fast 5 as well. That's kind of a nice callback. This one is called Fast X. Cause
But that was Fast
it's the
5.
same
It
kind
wasn't
of.
Fast V.
I love how they also are
if it was
thinking,
both Roman numerals, maybe.
well, don't think about it too much. But I think we should give credit to whoever is titling the films over at Universal for the Fast and Furious saga. My personal highlight is still F9 colon oh yeah, what was it called? Yeah, the Fast Saga or something like that. Just abomination of a title for a movie. But yeah, right from the start we get a recontextualized I guess Fast 5 where Jason Momoa emerges as the son of the Brazilian gangster that they took down in that film, who's thrown out of his car with I think it's so funny the way that they re-edit this, and it kind of sets. I think it kind of sets the style of this whole movie. What they do a couple of times, which is kind of. I don't know how you thought it looked, but I thought it was kind of. It's just it was funny whenever they like pull back and you transition from a real actor, obviously in front of a green screen, just further away, until like the transition is there, so it's a fully CGI'd shot there. It's did you do it a couple of times?
Yes, they do.
But yeah, what do you think about that introduction to Jason Momoa as a character?
It was okay. They do it quite quickly for me not to really care.
Mhm.
Because he was kind of boring in the opening, not gonna lie. He definitely comes out of his shell a lot more later on in the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, since we've watched all of them, because we watched all of the Fast and Furiouses for a brief period of time when we were
Yeah.
in Switzerland.
Oh yeah.
This has to be the quickest title sequence opening ever. Has to be.
Yeah. Because well, we did a thing that it never came out because we didn't finish it. It was too much. We watched all of them at the same time. Um, and it
That
it
was
did
just
take
ridiculous.
it was ridiculous. It did take a bit until actual credits popped up, and it's really effective in giving us a villain. And I think what I initially liked, because I gave this movie a better rating than I'm giving it now, when I first watched it. It was just because I think it was so aware of its own ridiculousness and was just like thriving in that. And the more I sit on it, the more I think it was just Jason Momoa who just didn't give a fuck, and the rest of it is kind of serious, and in parts it is trying to be funny and poking fun at itself, but because I think a lot of the people who star in this lack any sort of like authentic charisma. You're not getting that. You're not getting any funny jokes. You're not getting any funny quips. No one has any chemistry with each other, and also broken apart for pretty much the entirety of the film. So it's a really just like movie that's all over the place, and you're just waiting for the next time Jason Momoa shows up and does something ridiculous. That even he's not tied to any like sort of interesting storyline. It's just like random. He's just there a lot of the time, and then you also got the agency, and then whenever there's like some sort of conflict between two parties, then they just drop in, and then there's more conflict. It's a very calculated, random movie. That's incredibly incoherent. Like from early on, there's like I think the highlight for me was the Rome sequence. And I thought like, hey,
Mm.
that looks familiar. Was that the same like stairs that they used in Mission Impossible, the latest one as well, when they like dropped down there in Rome? And I think it was. I think it was. Was it also in Rome in Mission Impossible? Like couldn't remember for sure.
I'm
You
not
don't know?
putting the two together, unfortunately. No, I didn't put the two together.
It just kind of looked similar. Maybe it's just like different sort of stairs. But yeah. What did you think about the movie overall? Like, was there a highlight? Was it overall a letdown compared to the rest of the franchise?
I don't know where to put it, man. Like it's just there. Fast and Furious is just it exists for me, but it does not rate in a positive or negative score. It's just
Hmm.
filler. That's all it is. It's the
Yeah.
perfect movie to put on when you're having a party and you want some background noise. Just put it on.
Yeah.
Put it on a projector screen. Just put it up there. That's all I can think. That's
Hmm.
it. That's all. I can't imagine anyone actually wanting to go see this movie.
Yeah.
So
I
pretty
don't know.
negative.
It's I don't know. I think it's a bizarre thing because it does feel like some weirdly put together Frankenstein's monster thing when it comes to like just in its story. And uh it's fine if it has individual moments that shine, but apart from that first Rome sequence, there's nothing that actually is like worthwhile because it's so intercut with like a variety of different moments. And in Rome, at least for a short while, all of them, all of the important players are kind of there. Um,
Mm.
and like, there's another thing that's it's so incredibly dumb, and it's just like the first time I was in, it was just like maybe I had just a moment where I was able to turn my brain completely off, but like some of the dumbest things is like they find out that the mission in Rome. By the way, spoiler review, but I mean I think that was kind of obvious. But uh, they find out that the mission in Rome is not set up by the agency, but by like someone else. It was like they were lured in, and instead of calling them, we cut to the mission starting, but also Dom being in Rome. So instead of communicating, they got there at the same time that it would have started when they had hours before they would have gotten to Rome to communicate with them. It's like so incredibly stupid that it hurt my brain. It was like, well, we just don't care about that in this film, and that is, I guess, fine. I gotta come to terms with that. That it's just like completely illogical. Not just on the sense of gravity and all of that. Like I'm down to suspend my suspension of disbelief or whatever it's called. But not when it's like something simple as in just like a timeline thing and there's like locations on the world and it just doesn't make sense, the characters and how they behave. And
Yep.
then I don't care about the stakes then. Especially because this movie is so set on I guess people dying, and I'm just like, okay, I think no one died, and if anyone died, and it would have been his brother in that like car crash where he sacrificed himself, that would have been like I think top 5 dumbest movie deaths of all time. It's so incredibly stupid. But yeah. Okay, I think that's my rambling done. Do you have anything else you want to add, like something that stood out to you?
I guess the thing about this particular Fast film is that it drives really hard
Mhm.
to make it a team up event. Make it an
Yeah.
event where like look at all these people. We've got John Cena, we've got Jason Statham, we've got the whole family that's still alive here. It makes it a big deal and it links it back to Fast 5 in the opening scene. But
Mhm.
I feel like the film is relying too much on moments like that where it calls back to say, look how cool this character is. And it's the same with both Brie Larson's character and Charlize Theron's character as well, where it's like,
Yeah.
look at this massive universe we've built of family, of
Fair.
these characters, right? And it goes into
Mhm.
like the conversation we had: are movies, you know, uh, IP based or focused, or are they, star focused? And this film is definitely star focused and showing off look at all these cool famous people we've got, right? But
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like it's focusing too hard on that and not at the core of what the story should be, and that's racing. And I hate saying it, family.
There's not a lot
It
of
tries to show off too
yeah.
much.
I think there's a bunch of like I think all the family stuff was just dumped on Dom as a character, and there's a bunch of like really insincere moments where he sort of gives like a life lesson. Same with John Cena, but he has a bit more of the ability to do that. Although I don't know, I just only saw Peacemaker as a character and him as an actor. I didn't see like that character, that whatever it was, the character that he played in one of the last Fast and Furious movies. But like with Vin, there's a bunch of moments where like there's this adoration for him, with a bunch of women around, and like they just are like, it's Brie Larson and I guess his dead ex-wife's sister who pops up
Yes.
in his movie. He gets to save them, or he gets to be like this like grandiose person. But this movie doesn't give us anything to warrant that. It's all based on what has come before, and to me that like is kind of on it's not really interesting, because yeah, it's just like things happen to them, whatever Jason Momoa does with his like crazy remote car or whatever he's like hacking into. But it's I think it's also not, I like his performance, but it's so unbelievable that he would set up any of the things that he's doing, just because
Mm.
he just gets to act big, but then is also like a major like planner, and figures everything out, and is everything like planned, and all the tech is ready, and it's just at no moment I thought that any of this there was like an ounce of anything real in this, from the look, from the
Sure.
performances, from the story. It's this completely fabricated thing, which it is fine if it's like a blockbuster that that entertains, but it's not entertaining. At least only when Jason Momoa is on screen. And for me, like the best scene is probably like the one where he's like playing with these like two dead guards that he has propped up, and it's just like such a ridiculous scene. Was another thing that I really enjoyed was like the kid, Dom's kid, and Mia playing like a racing game, and they weren't playing Mario Kart or like, I don't know, not even like a realistic game, or like Twisted Metal. They were playing Hot Wheels racing. And I was thinking, who the fuck plays Hot Wheels racing? I didn't know that it even existed. And
You
like
know
there's a
about
bunch
Hot
of
Wheels racing? Dude, Hot Wheels racing is shit
goes
fucking good.
crazy. So yeah, there was a bunch of that stuff. I think it's like some of it's one of the better Fast and Furious films, in my opinion, but they're all like so consistently kind of bad that, yeah, I don't know. I just don't care about this
I
franchise. But
don't have a stake in the franchise. Oh my god, we're both about to say the
yeah,
same thing. I don't have a stake in
yeah.
it. I don't have a reason to go and see it each time it comes out in theaters. So
Mhm.
it for in the nicest way possible, to Mr. Vin Diesel, just end the series, please.
Yeah, I mean,
Just end
this
it.
is also a two-parter, and maybe that's like where we can talk about the ending on that bridge where
Which is
they
like
just
the
fly
next
in
coolest
and
part of the film.
crash. Huh? What do you say?
The two trucks coming in, and then like his car, and then like, Dad, I have faith. Man, made me cry, made me shed a tear. It was that emotional.
And then he pulls out his necklace and goes like, nothing's impossible, and drives off.
Nothing's impossible. So good.
Like, to me, I like the connection that they make from the kid playing the racing game Hot Wheels, and then the literal burning wheels as they go down that like river dam thing. I just love how this franchise is able to connect itself within a movie, and it's just a lot of it going on. It's great. Now some other highlights were like on John Cena's car. It says road rage, but like with a 4 and without the A in the rage. I just thought that was an interesting choice for that character. Oh no, the actual funniest moment wasn't the dead guards to me, but it was like Vin just sternly looking at Jason Momoa, and he's in his purple car, and he goes like, "Oh yeah, I know what you're thinking. Yes, the carpet matches the drapes." I was like, it's just it's so ridiculous, and it so doesn't fit like the tone of what's about to happen. But it's kind of entertaining that like he just, it feels like he is getting away with something in this franchise. And like later on, I think Vin Diesel came out and was like, why this is not going huge is because of Jason Momoa. People don't like his performance. He kind of tanked the movie.
he's the best part.
He's for sure the best part. I I think I really have a strong dislike for Vin Diesel in these films. It's just unpleasant to see him do anything. The way that he moves his head around, the way that he looks, it's just like also annoying. Just I can't stand it. And like to think that this is gonna continue for so much longer. Yeah, it's just agonizing. He's becoming, instead of being yellow and annoying and saying banana, he's not too far off from being a minion in this franchise. He's already bald, he's already like got the aerodynamic shape. Anything else you wanna add to it? Do you wanna speculate about the sequel? What's about to happen with Gal Gadot being back from the
mean,
dead?
I would say it would be. Oh, man, it's so difficult to see where the story is going, but I reckon it would involve Vin Diesel driving a car and then finishing the driving lesson for his son.
But his car is sunk in
Wow,
the, yeah,
with a new
right.
car
It starts with him doing not
driving
wheelies but
lesson.
donuts, right? The kid, yeah.
Yeah. No, the kid does
Uh,
wheelies in a car somehow, but that'd be great.
he does. I think it's also
Breaks
like
the laws of
like
physics.
we've we've gotten the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and like the racing part in the DK Kingdom. But the most consistent thing that the closest adaptation to, I guess, Mario Kart Wii we've gotten so far is in Fast and Furious, and the amount of wheelies that Vin Diesel does with his I feel like I'm blanking on what his car is called, but the black car that's now sunk in that lake. So he's without a car. So that's gonna be interesting to see. Maybe I don't know. Just remember that one scene where he fights Jason Statham, and they both got like a wrench. The concrete around him is like kind of broken up, and he goes like, "Oh, the street always wins," stomps down, and Jason Statham just falls down. Um, there's another moment like this where like the streets and they just pull guns at each other. This franchise is crazy. I think like, look, had I not rewatched this, I initially gave this film a 3 out of 5. Just because I was entertained. Um, I've come down on it on a 2 out of 5 because I really liked it way less on the rewatch. What about you, Lachlan? Where do you land?
Fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I'm giving it half a star.
Half a star? Oh my god. Damn. So wait, what Fast and Furious franchise was you also give half a star to? I'm curious.
Which Fast and Furious franchise?
Movie, sorry, movie.
No, this is gonna be my least favorite, bro.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I didn't
Really?
know if I was gonna give it like a 1 or a 2, but I was like, you know what? I didn't like this film at all. I hated my entire time with it. I'm giving it half a star.
Fair. I mean, that's fair. It's a low rating, but I mean, can't say I fault you for it and that it doesn't deserve it. But I like that we
Thanks,
had
man.
back-to-back racing weeks. This one being slightly less
Boom
realistic.
boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gran Turismo was way better.
Yeah, compared to Fast X compared to Gran Turismo makes it like, I don't know, makes it like Rush or like Ford v Ferrari comparatively. But yeah, that's it. We'll get another one. We'll get a spin-off with The Rock because he was teased at the end, and he's like, there's two very funny things that happen in that post-credit scene. One of them is that he literally crushes the phone, crushes it. Why? We don't know. He just crushes it,
Strength.
and then he gives. I saw it now on the rewatch because it did include the subtitle, but he says, what does he say at the end? He doesn't say like, "You son of a bitch," or can't remember it. I would have to pull it up. But he gives like some weird abbreviated thing where he clearly said the line. I'm doing it now as well. He clearly said the line wrong, but he just went with it. It sounds like so off. So yeah, it doesn't look too promising on that front as well. But Lachlan, if you had to pair up a movie with Fast X, what would you choose?
A bottle of bleach. Oh, sorry, a movie to partner. I thought you said a cocktail to watch the movie
Fair,
with.
fair.
What movie would I pair with Fast 10? Fast X. Well, there's only one other film that I could could partner up with Fast X, and that is to do Fast X 3 times. What do I mean? Triple X. So I'm going to partner it up with the Triple X movies. Doesn't matter. You want to watch XXX? You want to watch
Just one of them.
XXX State of Union? You want to watch Return of Cage, whatever it's called?
I don't know. I haven't seen any of them,
There
and
you
I don't
go.
plan to.
Oh, God. You
That's
should.
great.
They're so fun.
I'm sticking with X as well, but I'm gonna go with X giving it to you in the very iconic soundtrack of Deadpool, because Deadpool is also a lot of fun. It's got a lot of funnies in there, and you will laugh. And I think Ryan Reynolds is also in the Fast and Furious franchise, right? Or was that Bullet? No, that was Bullet Train. But he was also Ryan Reynolds was also in one of the Fast and Furious films, I think. It's just blast like really famous people in there for no reason whatsoever. But that's my double feature pick. Next week, I actually forgot to pull up the release dates. Man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everyone who's listened this far. This is a stinker episode. I know it is, but it's just because we don't have the thing that we actually want to talk about, and instead we had to talk about Fast X. Fucking Fast X. But next week we'll talk about a great film, my favorite film of the year so far. It's gonna be completely gear shift of the slop that we had to talk about this week, and that's Past Lives. It releases on VOD on August 22nd, and we will be chatting about it extensively next week. By the time, when this episode comes out, you should be able to catch Past Lives, even if it's not playing in your region. But that's pretty much it. That's all the things that are worth talking about. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I guess we'll see you soon. Lachlan, you have anything to send us off? He pulls out his cross
Bye.
necklace, and it's like,
I don't think I have anything.
yeah, sorry, I just kind of threw that to you without prepping.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm not ready.
so low energy.
I want to buy one of those gaming steering wheels so I can play racing games now. Thanks to both Gran Turismo
and especially
Fast X.
Fast X. Yeah. All right. We'll see you next week.
All right, bye.